everything will take twice as long and you'll need twice the budget because stuff will happen. And so I took that principle and I've now tried to do less in as much time so that I'm not putting that pressure on myself and just keep pushing the list out further and further and further and starting to get a little dirty on myself because I'm like, come on, dude, you should be able to get all this done. And that's the trap, right? If you can do overs, sweet, then you're ahead. Wouldn't you rather tell yourself you're killing it than you're falling behind? Because we often forget about the things that we've achieved because we had a goal and maybe that's not yet achieved. But what about all the stuff that you've built that's getting it to the point of nearly being there? And then how do we refocus, reset, so that the next month, the next 4-week chunk we're giving ourselves, we go, cool, originally in my head, I thought it was going to be this, but because of where I'm up to, it's actually going to be this instead. I used to do that whole try to do everything, a million things at once. And I've never been really good at it. You know, when you're not aware of that pattern or those ebbs and flows, it can seem really hard in the low points, but the more you begin, like you just sort of said there, accepting that those low points are just part of the next part of where you're going to go, it starts to take the sting out a little bit. And that's not an easy thing, especially at the beginning. As you're aware of it and go through it a few times and you get here and then you go, okay, remember your training and I remember what we talked about. And then you come back out and you're like, and you go here and like, it goes like this again, like, okay, I've done this before. I know what I got to do. And it just gets a little bit easier and a little bit easier to trust the process. When people say trust the process without context, and sometimes that can be frustrating to people like me who need answers. And it was for a time until discovering, well, hang on, if I just keep going, as hard as it might be at times, then eventually this will work out, right? As long as I just keep going. But we all have different versions of that. You know, it might be in a personal relationship, it might be professionally, it might be financially, it might be just emotionally. You know, the ebbs and flows are going to come, and our ability to manage that well is essentially that cycle of growth that we've taken you guys through. A decision point to learn and grow, even though it might be a bit shit. Our ability to do that is genuinely where our greatest strength will come from, and the more we do it, the easier life genuinely becomes.